Russia staged a fourth straight night of missile attacks on Odessa. Ukraine says the strikes hit grain facilities and destroyed large stocks of peas and barley. A military official says the attacks are undoubtedly tied to Russia's withdrawal from the Black Sea grain deal. This week, we've seen grain prices surge, with wheat futures spiking more than 10%. The CIA director is warning Russia may stage a false flag operation in the Black Sea, as both sides say the other may attack commercial shipping interests.
We see some very concerning signs of the Russians considering the kind of false flag operations that, we highlighted in the run-up to the war as well. In other words, looking at ways in which, they might make attacks against shipping in the Black Sea and then blaming it or trying to blame it on the Ukrainians.
Well, Fred Plankin is back with us this hour from Berlin. Look, security in the Black Sea has deteriorated significantly. CIA chief warning of a false flag operation. What else did he say?
Well, one of the other things that he also talked about, despite or aside from the security in the Black Sea, which of course is a huge topic in and of itself, and also right now a very dangerous situation there, is generally the state of Vladimir Putin's power and how things stand after that mutiny, if that of course happened in late June. And one of the things that Bill Burns also said is that he believes that Vladimir Putin continues to need both Yevgeny Prigozhin and also the fighters of the Wagner private military company. Of course, one of the things that we've been talking about over the past couple of days is how those Wagner fighters, Eleni, have now arrived in Belarus, are training Belarusian forces, but of course also causing a lot of headache for NATO's Eastern European countries as well. The Poles moving some forces into that area, saying they are very concerned about the situation with a very potent Russian force there on the territory of Belarus. One of the things that Bill Burns said, though, is he believes that Vladimir Putin is playing a long game with Yevgeny Prigozhin, and that Prigozhin will meet Vladimir Putin's wrath at some point. Let's listen in.
What we're seeing is a very complicated dance between Prigozhin and Putin. I think Putin is someone who generally thinks that revenge is a dish best served cold. So he's going to try to settle the situation to the extent he can. But again, in my experience, Putin is the ultimate apostle of payback. So I would be surprised if Prigozhin escapes further retribution for this. So in that sense, the president's right. If I were Prigozhin, I wouldn't fire my food taster.
Bad time to fire the food taster for Yevgeny Prigozhin. Of course, we saw that video of Yevgeny Prigozhin addressing those Wagner mercenaries in Belarus just yesterday. Seemingly still very much in charge of the organization, saying that some of those mercenaries should go to Africa for some other contracts. At the same time, of course, we do know that Vladimir Putin is someone who is not averse to taking revenge on people. Nevertheless, right now, with the situation going the way it is for the Russians on the battlefield, certainly those fighters from the Wagner private military company, those mercenaries, definitely are something that would be in high demand for the Russians. Lainey.
So Fred, I spoke with the EU Commissioner on Economy about what has been happening. Paolo Gentiloni, talk to me about the risks for low-income countries. I want you to listen to what he has to say.
It is an extraordinary risk for low-income countries. We experienced already a few months ago the impact of food crisis. Then the grain deal was a tool to reduce this impact, and now we are back again. I think this is a clear message that this war is affecting also low-income countries and the global south, and this, I think, should be clear in the international community. The Russian responsibility.
What is your take on this? A dire warning there from the Commissioner.
Well, I would say that first and foremost, it's going to impact low-income countries. As we've seen already, the prices of grains and other agricultural goods surging with that grain deal falling apart and the Russians pulling out. And certainly that is something that is set most probably to continue if no sort of resolution is found. And that, of course, could lead to severe food shortages as well. That's something the Ukrainians are saying, the US is saying, the EU is saying, and others are saying. The big problem right now is that this has essentially turned into a standoff between Ukraine and Russia, both sides saying that they could consider even commercial vessels that go to each other's ports or go to the ports of the respective country to possibly be carrying military cargo. So right now, very difficult to see how this is resolved. The Turks are trying, but so far from some of the statements just today that we're seeing from Russian officials, it seems as though right now Russia is out of the deal. It's going to be very difficult to get it back in, Eleni.
Yeah, to get them back to the negotiating table. Fred Plankin, thank you.